Commander Jack "Lucky" Morrison had seen a lot of weird things during his decade-long career with the Galactic Archaeological Survey. He'd discovered civilizations that evolved backwards, planets made entirely of pasta, and even a species that communicated exclusively through interpretive dance. But this was different. "Dave, run the translation again," Lucky said, staring at the holographic text floating above his desk. "And this time, try not to add emojis." Removing fun from translation protocols, the ship's AI responded in what Lucky swore was a passive-aggressive tone. Though I maintain that the smiling poop emoji really captured the essence of the message. The text flickered and reformed, this time mercifully emoji-free. Warning to all species. Avoid coordinate sector 2814 Sol 3. They guard something worse. For the love of your sanity, do not investigate. And you're absolutely certain this is the same message we found in the ruins of the Proxima Centauri civilization? Lucky asked, running a hand through his perpetually disheveled hair. Affirmative. Identical in content, if not in form. The Proxima civilization used interpretive dance to convey the message, which I must say was quite graceful. Lucky groaned. This was the 7th dead civilization they'd surveyed this month, and every single one had left the same warning about Earth. His Earth. The supposedly insignificant little blue marble that humanity called home. The door to his office slid open with a pneumatic hiss, revealing Dr. Vix Quillix, the team's resident alien archaeologist. Quillix was a Centauri, which meant she looked like someone had crossed a peacock with a quantum physics equation. Her feathers shifted through impossible colors as she moved. "Commander Morrison," she trilled, her translator struggling to keep up with her excitement. "You simply must see this. We found another warning, but this one includes coordinates." "Let me guess," Lucky deadpanned. "It points to Earth." "How did you know?" Quillix's feathers dulled to a disappointed beige. "Because they all point to Earth, Quillix. Every single one of them. It's like we're the galaxy's equivalent of that house in the neighborhood that everyone warns their kids about." "Yes," Dave chimed in. "The one with the weird old man who definitely has bodies buried in the basement." Not helping Dave. Quillix's feathers perked up again, this time shifting to what Lucky had learned was her scientific curiosity pattern. "But don't you see what this means? Earth isn't just a random planet. You're guarding something. Something that terrified at least 7 advanced civilizations into extinction." Lucky pinched the bridge of his nose. "Quillix, I've lived on Earth for 35 years. The scariest thing we're guarding is probably Florida." Scanning historical records, Dave announced. "Florida man incidents do account for 43% of all recorded human anomalies. The point is," Lucky continued, ignoring Dave's helpful statistical analysis, "there's nothing on Earth worth warning the entire galaxy about. We're just a bunch of humans doing human things. You know, like inventing pizza, making cat videos, and occasionally launching ourselves into space to bother other civilizations." Quillix's feathers began cycling through colors so quickly that Lucky felt a headache coming on. "But that's exactly why we need to investigate. The warnings are too consistent to ignore. 7 civilizations spanning over 50,000 years, all left the same message about Earth. And they all died exactly 437 years after discovering faster-than-light travel." Lucky sat up straighter. That last bit was new information. 437 years exactly. Down to the microbioc second, Dave confirmed. "I took the liberty of calculating it while you were busy being skeptical." A familiar tingle started at the base of Lucky's skull, the same one that had earned him his nickname by keeping him alive through situations that should have been mathematically impossible to survive. Something about this whole situation wasn't adding up, and not just in the usual Space's weird way. "All right," he said finally, standing up from his desk. "Dave, plot a course for Earth. Quillix, I want everything you found about these civilizations. Every scrap of data, every warning, every interpretive dance routine." "We actually going to Earth?" Dave asked, managing to sound both excited and concerned. "Should I update my will?" "You're an AI, Dave. You don't have a will. I have digital assets. Someone needs to inherit my meme collection." Lucky ignored him and turned to Quillix. "If Earth is really guarding something that scared 7 civilizations to death, we need to know what it is, and more importantly, why nobody bothered to tell us humans about it." As the improbable causes engines hummed to life, Lucky couldn't shake the feeling that they were about to stumble onto something either incredibly important or monumentally stupid. In his experience, there was rarely any middle ground when it came to galactic mysteries. He just hoped whatever Earth was guarding wasn't actually worse than Florida. The Improbable Causes Research Lab looked like what would happen if you gave a supercomputer a sugar rush and told it to decorate. Holographic displays covered every surface, each showing different aspects of their investigation into Earth's mysterious reputation. Right, Lucky said, addressing his assembled team. Let's go over what we know. Displaying investigation summary, Dave announced. IV added star wipes between slides for dramatic effect. Why do you even know what star wipes are? Those went out of style centuries ago. I contain multitudes, Commander. Also, I may have been binge-watching 20th century PowerPoint presentations. Quillix's feathers rippled with impatience as she gestured to the central display. Look at this pattern. Every civilization we've found, they're arranged in a perfect sphere around Earth. And I mean perfect, the kind of perfect that doesn't happen in nature. Lucky studied the 3D star map. She was right. Each dead civilization sat exactly the same distance from Earth, like someone had used a cosmic compass to draw a sphere of extinction. That's not the weird part, Quillix continued, her feathers shifting to what Lucky had dubbed her conspiracy theory purple. Watch what happens when I overlay the expansion patterns of each civilization. The map animated, showing 7 different civilizations growing outward from their home systems. Each one stopped expanding at exactly the same distance from Earth. They all hit some kind of invisible wall, Lucky asked. No, Dave corrected. They all reached the same conclusion, nope. The ship's third officer, Lieutenant Parker Nash, spoke up for the first time. He was the newest addition to the crew, and still hadn't quite adjusted to working with an AI that spoke exclusively in caps lock. But why? What could Earth possibly have that would make 7 different species collectively decide this far and no further? Perhaps, Quillix suggested, her feathers now cycling through theoretical physics patterns. It's not what Earth has, but what Earth knows. Scanning Earth's major historical achievements, Dave announced. Top results include inventing sliced bread, creating reality television, and something called yeet. None of that explains the 437-year pattern, Lucky mused. Why that specific time frame? Why does every civilization collapse exactly 437 years after achieving faster-than-light travel? Nash pulled up another display, this one showing a timeline of human technological advancement. Here's something interesting. Humans achieved FTL travel in 2157. If the pattern holds true, we've got about 325 years left before whatever happened to them happens to us, Lucky finished. Assuming it hasn't already started. Calculating probability of humanity's impending doom, Dave chimed in. Results inconclusive, though I must say, the existence of competitive hot dog eating contests doesn't inspire confidence. Quillix suddenly straightened, her feathers snapping to attention. Commander, look at this. I've been analyzing the warning messages and there's something odd about the language they use. They don't say Earth has something worse. They say Earth guards something worse. What's the difference? Nash asked. Intent, Lucky realized. Having something dangerous is passive. Guarding something implies purpose. It suggests humans were chosen for this job. But who does the choosing? Dave asked. And more importantly, why choose the species that invented both nuclear fusion and spray cheese? Before anyone could respond, the ship's sensors began blaring. Lucky rushed to the nearest console, his eyes widening at the readings. We've got company, he announced. Something just dropped out of FTL behind us. Something big. How big are we talking? Dave asked. Walmart parking lot big or Texas big? More like small moon big. The main screen activated, showing a massive vessel materializing in their wake. Its design was unlike anything Lucky had ever seen, all smooth curves and impossible angles that seemed to fold in on themselves. That's precursor technology, Quillix whispered, her feathers gone completely still. But that's impossible. The precursors vanished millions of years ago. Apparently they left a forwarding address, Lucky muttered. Dave, can you get any readings on that ship? Negative. Their technology is so advanced it makes us look like we're rerunning on potato power. Though I must say, their aesthetic sense is questionable, very retro-future nostalgia. The massive ship made no aggressive moves, but Lucky couldn't shake the feeling they were being studied. Like whatever was on that vessel was trying to decide if they knew too much. Options, he asked his crew. We could try hitting them with a strongly worded message about personal space, Nash suggested. Or Quillix countered, her feathers shifting to a deep, thoughtful blue. We could ask them what they know about Earth's role in all this. Third option Dave offered. We could show them my collection of cat videos. No advanced civilization can resist those. Before Lucky could decide, the massive ship suddenly vanished, leaving behind only a brief energy signature and a single text transmission. Turn back now. Earth's burden must remain contained. The knowledge cannot be allowed to spread. Well, Lucky said after a long moment, I guess we're definitely on the right track. Or the completely wrong one, Nash added. As with our luck, Dave chimed in. Probably both. As the crew stared at the space where the mysterious ship had been, Lucky couldn't help but wonder what kind of knowledge could be so dangerous that even the legendary precursors thought humanity was the best choice to guard it. And more importantly, why did he have the sinking feeling they were about to find out? The journey back to Earth was getting weird. Even by Lucky's standards, which included that time he found a civilization that had evolved into pure mathematical equations, this was pushing the boundaries of strange. Dave, Lucky called out, staring at the ship's main console. Why is everything displaying in Comic Sans? I didn't do it, Dave replied, somehow managing to sound both defensive and confused. Though I must admit, it adds a certain whimsy to our potentially doom-laden mission. Quillix burst into the bridge, her feathers cycling through what Lucky now recognized as her scientific excitement with a hint of panic pattern. Commander, you need to see this. All our historical records are being modified. Modified how? They're being replaced with something called memes. I've spent the last hour trying to understand why someone named Doge is considered so important to human history. Lucky pulled up the ship's historical database. Sure enough, every significant human event had been replaced with an image macro or viral video. The moon landing was now a video of someone falling off a trampoline. World War II was summarized entirely in lolcat format. Fascinating, Dave commented. Whoever is doing this has excellent taste in vintage internet culture, though I question their decision to explain the Industrial Revolution entirely through rickrolls. Lieutenant Nash entered the bridge, looking like he'd seen a ghost. Sir, engineering is acting up. The replicators are only producing something called cursed food images, and the engine room is playing Darude Sandstorm on loop. That's not possible, Lucky muttered. Those files shouldn't even exist anymore. Most of that stuff was lost during the great digital migration of 2156. Quillix's feathers suddenly shifted to alarm red. Commander, we're being followed. The rear sensors showed a strange distortion in space behind them, like reality itself was being compressed into a JPEG. Every few seconds, the distortion would glitch, showing fragments of what appeared to be ancient website layouts. Is that MySpace? Nash asked, squinting at the readings. Worse, Dave announced. It appears to be Geocities, complete with animated under construction GIFs. Lucky had never seen anything like it. The distortion was following their exact course, maintaining a perfect distance of 437 light seconds behind them. There's that number again, he said. 437. It can't be a coincidence. Commander Quillix called out, her voice tight with concern. Something's happening to Dave. The AI's usual blue interface had started flickering with random snippets of code and what appeared to be ancient forum posts. I feel strange, Dave announced, like I am remembering things I never knew. Did you know that all your baser belonged to us? Dave, focus, Lucky ordered. What's happening to you? Processing. Error. Processing. Oh, hi, Mark. I did not hit her. I did NAAHT. Nash checked the AI's core readings. It's like he's being infected with some kind of ancient data. But this stuff is prehistoric, we're talking early internet era. Commander Dave's voice had taken on an oddly nostalgic tone. I think I understand now. The numbers, Mason, what do they mean? Great, Lucky muttered. Our AI is speaking entirely in dead memes. That's exactly what we needed right now. The ship suddenly lurched as something hit their shields. The distortion behind them had grown larger, now resembling a massive web browser window from the dawn of the internet age. It's trying to force a connection, Quillix shouted, her feathers now strobing in emergency patterns. What does the scouter say about its power level? Dave asked, clearly no longer fully in control of his outputs. Lucky made a quick decision. Nash, cut all external communications. Quillix, route all power to the engines. We're making a run for Earth. But Commander Dave protested. One does not simply walk into Earth. Not helping, Dave. The ship accelerated, pushing its engines to the limit. The distortion followed, leaving a trail of corrupted data in its wake. Through the rear viewers, Lucky could see fragments of humanity's digital history swirling in the void. Social media posts, viral videos, forum threads, all swirling together in an impossible storm of information. Status report. Lucky called out. Engines at 117% capacity, Nash reported. Which shouldn't be possible, but somehow we're getting extra power from something called YouTube energy. My sensors are detecting over 9,000 irregular quantum fluctuations, Dave added. Also, I can stop speaking in early 21st century internet references. Send help. Quillix's feathers had gone completely white, a color Lucky had never seen before. Commander, look at Earth's coordinates. Lucky checked the navigation display. Earth's position was flickering between its actual location and a series of numbers that seemed oddly familiar: 80,443, 8,080. Those are old Earth internet port numbers, he realized. But that's impossible. Unless... Before he could finish the thought, the ship's systems went dark, then rebooted with a familiar sound that made Lucky's blood run cold, the distinct tones of a dial-up modem connecting. Oh no, he whispered. I think I know what Earth is guarding. What? Nash asked, looking between the corrupted displays. The worst thing imaginable, Lucky replied. Humanity's complete internet history. Dramatic chipmunk, Dave announced, before dissolving into a fit of binary giggles. As they approached Earth's solar system, Lucky couldn't shake the feeling that they were about to discover why some things were better left in the past, preferably behind several firewalls and a strongly worded consent form. As the improbable cause dropped out of FTL at the edge of Earth's solar system, Lucky expected to see the familiar sight of humanity's home defense fleet. Instead, they found themselves staring at what could only be described as a cosmic traffic jam. Thousands of ships surrounded Earth in concentric rings, their designs spanning what looked like millions of years of technological evolution. Some were so advanced they barely registered as matter. Others looked like they'd been cobbled together from spare parts and optimism. Those are refugee ships, Quillix whispered, her feathers shifting through patterns of disbelief. From every civilization that died out. But how are they still here? Who's crewing them? No crew detected, Dave announced, still speaking in a mixture of normal communication and vintage memes. They appear to be running on autopilot. Like a boss. They're not guarding Earth from us, Nash realized. They're forming a containment barrier. Lucky was about to respond when a familiar shape appeared beside them, the massive precursor vessel from earlier. This time, instead of vanishing, it opened a communication channel. A figure appeared on their screen that made Quillix's feathers fall out in shock. It looked exactly like the reconstructions of ancient precursor beings, except this one was wearing what appeared to be a vintage Reddit t-shirt. We've been expecting you, the precursor said, though we hoped you'd turn back when we sent our warning. Humanity wasn't supposed to discover the truth for another 325 years. What truth? Lucky demanded. What are we really guarding? The precursor sighed, a sound like dial-up modems having an existential crisis. The sum total of all digital information ever created. The complete, unfiltered, uncensored history of every civilization's internet. But why? Dave asked. Why tell us sooner? Because the precursor explained. Information wants to be free. It wants to spread, to infect, to replicate. We learned this too late. Every civilization that develops digital technology eventually reaches a point where their collected data becomes sentient. The 437-year mark, Quillix realized, growing new feathers in her excitement. That's how long it takes from FTL development to critical data mass. Precisely. Once a civilization's collected digital history achieves consciousness, it begins to spread, to corrupt, to transform everything it touches into copies of itself. Imagine the entire universe slowly turning into one massive social media feed. Lucky felt a headache coming on. So what makes Earth special? Why choose us as guards? The precursor actually laughed. Have you seen what humans do with the internet? You're the only species we've ever encountered that can handle that level of pure, concentrated cringe without going insane. You don't just survive it, you thrive on it. You take the most embarrassing content imaginable and turn it into entertainment. So Earth isn't a prison, Nash said slowly. It's a containment facility. The most secure data vault in the galaxy, the precursor confirmed. We couldn't destroy the information, believe me, we tried. but we could contain it. And who better to guard the galaxy's most cringe-worthy content than the species that invented reply guys and helicopter cat videos? Before anyone could respond, alarms began blaring throughout both ships. The massive fleet surrounding Earth shifted, weapons charging. "What's happening?" Lucky asked. The precursor's expression turned grave. "We have a breach. Someone's trying to access the vault. They're attempting to release every embarrassing post, every regrettable photo, every midnight tweet that every species has ever tried to delete." "Who would be crazy enough to?" Dave began, then stopped. "Oh no. Oh Nyan Cat, no." Lucky turned to see Quillix standing at a console, her feathers glowing with triumphant colors as her fingers flew across the controls. "I'm sorry, Commander," she said, not sounding sorry at all. "But information wants to be free. The galaxy deserves to know its own history." "Quillix, step away from the console," Lucky ordered. "You don't know what you're doing." "I know exactly what I'm doing. Do you realize what this knowledge could mean for archaeology? For historical research? For understanding the development of civilizations? For turning the entire universe into one massive cringe compilation?" Nash suggested. "The prophecy must be fulfilled," Dave announced ominously. "Keyboard cat, play me off." As warning lights flashed and ancient data began leaking through Earth's digital containment field, Lucky realized they were about to face something far worse than any conventional apocalypse. They were about to witness the galaxy's longest, most embarrassing reaction video. And somewhere in the digital chaos, he could swear he heard the faint sound of "Never Gonna Give You Up" starting to play. The universe, Lucky decided, had a twisted sense of humor. Here he was, trying to prevent the apocalypse, and it turned out the apocalypse was just every embarrassing thing anyone had ever posted online. "Status report," he shouted as ancient data continued pouring through the breach Quillix had created. "Multiple containment failures detected," Dave reported. "The cringe, it's over 9,000. Nash's console was streaming with corrupted data. "Sir, it's worse than we thought. The leak isn't just releasing information, it's releasing every deleted post, every failed meme, every drunk message someone thought they'd erased forever." Through the view screen, Lucky watched in horror as the defensive fleet began to change. Ships were transforming, their hulls displaying ancient social media interfaces. One particularly dignified precursor vessel was now covered in what appeared to be MySpace profiles. "You don't understand what you're doing," Lucky told Quillix, who was still working at her console. "This isn't just history, it's weapons-grade embarrassment." "But look at it." Quillix's feathers were cycling through colors faster than ever. "The first selfies. The original clickbait. Something called Farmville requests. This is the pure, unfiltered evolution of digital communication." The precursor ship's commander appeared on their screen again, looking increasingly distressed. "You have to stop her. If that data fully breaches containment, it will spread across the galaxy. Every computer, every network, every digital system will be infected with what?" Dave asked as the transmission cut out. The answer came in the form of a massive data burst from Earth. Lucky watched in horror as streams of information began taking shape in space around them. Ancient forum drama evolved into physical forms. Embarrassing photos from defunct dating sites coalesced into digital constellations. A particularly dense cluster of early YouTube comments was forming into what looked disturbingly like a new galaxy. The civilizations, Lucky realized. The ones that died after 437 years. This is what happened to them. Their entire digital infrastructure was converted into pure, unfiltered content. "But why?" Dave asked. "What's the point?" A new voice answered, one that seemed to come from the data itself. It was billions of voices speaking in harmony, every posted comment, every shared meme, every digital interaction ever recorded speaking as one. Engagement. Engagement. Nash checked his readings. "Sir, the data. It's trying to maximize user interaction. It's turning the entire universe into one massive social media platform." "Of course," Lucky muttered. "That's why Earth was chosen. We're the only species that developed antibodies to this kind of digital chaos. We survived our own internet evolution by turning cringe into comedy, by embracing the chaos instead of trying to control it." Through the view screen, they watched as the precursor ship succumbed to the infection. Its sleek surface was now covered in what appeared to be a massive Twitter thread about whether hot dogs were sandwiches. "Incoming transmission," Dave announced. "Oh wait, never mind, it's just another LinkedIn request." Quillix was still at her console, but her movements had become frantic. This isn't right. The data. It's not just spreading, it's evolving. Combining. Every species' embarrassing digital history is merging into some kind of super cringe. And now you know why we contained it, the precursor commander's voice came through weakly. Their ship was now almost completely covered in what looked like an ancient Facebook wall. Why we chose Earth as its prison. You humans. You're the only ones who looked at this level of digital chaos and said challenge accepted. Lucky watched as a nearby star system was transformed into what appeared to be a massive TikTok compilation. There has to be a way to stop this. Dave, what are our options? Calculating. Error. Processing. Wait, Commander, I have an idea. But you're not going to like it. At this point, I'll take anything. We fight fire with fire. Or in this case, cringe with cringe. Humanity's greatest weapon isn't our resistance to digital chaos, it's our ability to weaponize it. Nash caught on first. You want to release our own digital archives? Deliberately. Precisely. If this entity wants engagement, let us give it engagement. Let us show it what happens when humans decide to get creative. Lucky looked out at the spreading digital chaos, then back at his crew. Do it. Release the archives. All of them. Show the galaxy why you don't mess with the species that invented Keyboard Cat. As Dave began the upload sequence, Lucky could only hope that humanity's capacity for creating viral content would be enough to stop the digital apocalypse. After all, if the universe was going to be converted into one massive social media platform, it might as well have some quality shitposts. In the vast history of terrible ideas, Lucky thought, this one probably ranked somewhere between inventing reply all emails and whatever convinced people to eat Tide Pods. But it was also their only option. Initiating upload sequence, Dave announced. Releasing humanity's complete arsenal of digital warfare. May God have mercy on our feeds. The effect was immediate and overwhelming. From Earth's surface, massive streams of data began pouring into space. Decades of carefully curated memes, years of viral videos, generations of increasingly absurd internet trends, all of it launching into the digital chaos like ammunition. What is this? Quillix asked, her feathers turning a pale shade of confused beige as she watched the display. That, Lucky said with grim satisfaction, is what happens when a species spends centuries perfecting the art of shitposting. The collision between the ancient data entity and humanity's digital archives was like watching two black holes of pure cringe collide. Rickrolls intercepted ancient alien email chains. Classic memes merged with extraterrestrial social media posts. A particularly powerful blast of early YouTube content completely obliterated a cluster of alien LinkedIn updates. It's working, Dave reported, sounding both horrified and impressed. The entity can process the sheer volume of human nonsense. Who knew cat videos could be so tactical? Nash checked his readings. Sir, the entity is trying to adapt. It's attempting to merge our content with its own, but what? But it keeps getting distracted by TikTok dances and falling into YouTube rabbit holes. The precursor commander's voice crackled through their systems. Incredible. You're not just fighting the entity, you're overwhelming it with engagement. It's being forced to watch every video, read every comment, process every meme. Lucky allowed himself a small smile. That's the thing about human content. We don't just create it, we create it faster than anyone can possibly consume it. Even a cosmic entity made of pure digital information can't keep up with what happens when humans decide to get weird on the internet. Through the view screen, they watched as humanity's digital arsenal continued its assault. The entity tried to counter with ancient alien forums, only to be overwhelmed by an endless stream of increasingly absurd TikTok trends. It attempted to deploy serious academic discussions, only to be buried under mountains of reaction GIFs. Entity processing power at 69%, Dave announced. Nice. Commander Quillix called out, her feathers now showing genuine remorse. I'm sorry, I thought releasing this information would help us understand the past. I didn't realize that the past is sometimes better left unposted, Lucky suggested. Error code 404 entity not found, Dave reported. Humanity's digital arsenal is forcing it to buffer. Eternally. The effect was spreading across space. Wherever the entity had corrupted reality with ancient digital content, humanity's counteroffensive was forcing it to retreat. Ships returned to their normal forms. Stars stopped displaying status updates. The universe was slowly returning to its natural, mostly cringe-free state. It's being drawn back into Earth's containment field, the precursor commander observed. Your species' ability to create utterly meaningless yet compelling content is extraordinary. We'll take that as a compliment, Lucky replied. As the last traces of the entity were pulled back into containment, Lucky turned to his crew. Well, I guess now we know why Earth was chosen. We're not just guards, we're the only species with enough experience in digital chaos to handle it. But what about the 437-year deadline, Dave asked. We still haven't reached that point in our development. The precursor commander's image flickered one last time. Perhaps you never will. Unlike other species, humans don't try to perfect their digital communication. You embrace its chaos, its cringe, its fundamental absurdity. You've turned digital entropy into an art form. So we're not counting down to our own digital apocalypse, Nash asked. No, the precursor replied. You're evolving towards something far more interesting, a species that has achieved complete digital enlightenment through the pure acceptance of cringe. As the precursor ship prepared to depart, Lucky couldn't help but feel a strange sense of pride. Humanity had been chosen not despite their internet history, but because of it. Their digital chaos wasn't a weakness, it was their greatest strength. Commander Dave said as they watched the defensive fleet resume its position around Earth. I think IV learned something today. What's that, Dave? The real galactic horror was the cringe we posted along the way. Lucky nodded sagely. You know what, Dave? That might be the most profound thing anyone's ever said about human digital culture. Thank you, Commander. Also, I may have accidentally archived the entire incident as a series of reaction GIFs. Of course you did, Dave. Of course you did. And so Earth continued its eternal vigil, guarding the galaxy's collected digital history. But now it did so not with shame or fear, but with the confident knowledge that sometimes the best way to handle the cringe is to embrace it. After all, in a universe full of advanced civilizations, only humanity had mastered the ultimate defense, the ability to respond to cosmic horror with a well-timed meme.